welcome to another episode of Artist Talk. It's your boy Sats B. Today I'm talking to global party starters, A-Slam, and two of his artists, Anjali and Lena J. Anjali is based out of Vancouver, along with DJ A-Slam, and Lena J comes out of San Francisco. And together, all three of them have been working on music that they're going to be debuting at the upcoming June 3rd's 11th annual desiFEST in Toronto. And I wanted to get a quick soundbite with those guys on who are they, how they get into music, what inspires them, and get some of their stories for you guys. It was a great conversation, and I want you to check it out. And if you have any feedback or want to comment or recommend another person I should talk to, please get in touch with us at info@desiFest.ca. Hope you enjoy the conversation. It's your boy Sats B. This is Global Party Starters.
Okay, I'm gonna be like everyone in Toronto. I'm just gonna tell everyone I'm their manager. I manage both Anjali and Lena.
Okay, so let's dive in. So we've never done this before, and part of what we're trying to do as we restructure, hopefully for the next 10 years, is also get a bit of the story around the people that we've booked. Hussein knows this, and I'm repeating myself a little bit, but desiFEST is a lot of things, but the thing that we're most known for is the showcase and the artists that we put on stage. But really, internally for us, that's like the last thing on our list. It's really who are these people that are helping to shape what we think is the next evolving generation of South Asians in the country, and what we're sort of keeping and what we're remixing, and why we do what we do, and influence of parents and culture and music and art. And that's really the stories that we're trying to capture and showcase. And in doing so, we have this, sort of one-day celebration. But what we've never done in the past, really beyond engaging artists to perform, is have a bit of a conversation on what gets you into music. What is it about, what we're all trying to do that gets you excited about the movement and things like that. So that's what I wanted to do today. Okay, so why don't we start with Hussein? Most people don't know how we met, so maybe we start there, and then we sort of move into GPS and all the cool stuff we're working on now. But do you remember that first meeting we had?
Yeah, it was you guys did a show in Vancouver, and you guys were calling for submissions, and I submitted. And I don't know if you were flying the next day or whatever, but we ended up meeting super late at night at a Waves coffee shop, which is where I used to study all the time. It was 24 hours. And I had prepped a little folder pretending like I had a bunch of I'd never done that before in my life, made a folder of all my stuff. So I was trying to look professional. I think it was a duotang. I think I put a little A-Slam duotang together, and then I gave it to you, and I was like, I'd be down to perform in Vancouver. And then, you put us on, and then we smashed the Vancouver show. It was awesome.
And then, the reputation that A-Slam had at that time and still do is, one of the hardest working, in-your-face, hustling kids that's trying to get into the music scene. And the duotang was the perfect representation of it. In a market 10 years ago when nobody even knew what an EPK was or was organized enough to even send me a music file to listen to. So that was really good, man. But, looking ahead now into GPS and all the other stuff you've been doing, how has that hustle mindset benefited in this career so far?
Yeah, I think when you look back at it now, I didn't realize what I had accomplished at that point, and how kind of significant it was compared to what other artists did. So I don't think I set my goal as high as I could have. So now with GPS, the whole thing that we're looking on is sky's the limit. Why can't we be South Asians in the mainstream game? Do you know what I mean? I feel just visually, without even thinking about it, some of us kind of lock ourselves, and I did. So we kind of see what are the biggest South Asian artists doing, and how do we do that? But now with GPS, it's well, how do we be bigger than what most South Asian artists are doing? How do we be the first South Asians on mainstream radio? Right? How do we be the first South Asians DJing EDM music festivals? How do we break somewhere bigger than just doing, not to take away what some of the biggest artists have done, but now can we go push past that and take it to the next level? So that's kind of the point of GPS.
Right, and sort of continuing that previous comment, um, 10 years ago, 9 years ago, hustling was just sort of what we had to do. But now, you're a little older, you've seen the game change. Um, what characteristics or sort of attitude or behavior you think is important to even be in the game now?
Yeah, I think a business plan now is so much more important. Before, when there wasn't that many players in the game, if you just had really good music, people would reach out to you like you. Like there wasn't enough people killing it, so a lot of people would reach out to me. Now I find there's so many great artists that now it's like, is your business straight? Because now it's like, do you have a mix of amazing music plus a solid business plan, and like kind of like a focus of where your career is going? That's gonna step you out now. That's a big difference.
Okay, so maybe we transition that into Anjali a little bit. And my first impression of hearing your vocals, I was like, holy, my goodness, who is this person?
Thanks, Atish.
And where have you been the last 10 years?
The last 10 years.
And have I been under a rock somewhere and didn't make
No, you haven't. It's been me under the rock. No, the last 10 years, I've been barreling down a path that I would say many South Asians sort of are pressured to go down. And not that I faced a lot of pressure, it was just this like unspoken expectation that I would go down like the intellectual route. So I was in politics, I was in international environmental politics, I was at the UN, I was following climate change negotiations internationally for a number of years. And, I was doing school and stuff, and it was that familiar pattern that a lot of artists fall into where they deny their own artistry, often for years, and sometimes they don't even realize till it's too late. Like they have this passion inside of them that they don't allow or nurture to come out. So I've done music my whole life, played piano since I was like 8 or 9, but just never called myself an artist. That was like a label that didn't apply to me. So yeah, that's where I've been for 10 years, and I'm really glad that I'm giving myself that permission now to like really let it out.
That's awesome. Were you born here? Were you born somewhere else? Take me back a little further.
I was born in Madurai, South India represent, and my family immigrated when I was just a kid, about 7 years old, to Vancouver, just outside of Vancouver, and I've just been. Yeah, that was a rough transition. There's also not a lot of South Indians in Vancouver. It's a big Punjabi scene here.
Yep.
Really North Indian scene, which is another reason I didn't really connect with Indian music or the South Asian music scene at all, because culturally I hadn't really found my people, like people that I really resonated with. And so, yeah, I just, big immigration, and I just sort of took that route that a lot of immigrant families do take.
Man, Madurai, I haven't heard that in a long time.
I know, small, sleepy little town, super religious, super conservative town.
But what do they speak? What do they speak in Madurai?
Tamil. So I'm from a Tamil. I'm like half Tamil, half Telugu.
My goodness,
so like super South Indian.
So I'm from Chennai.
No way! Are you serious? My dad's from Chennai.
Yeah. So there's a little. Well, okay. So I use Chennai as a reference, but I should correct myself since you know the area. People that don't know South India, they're like, oh, South Chennai, Madras, they get it. But we're from a little town called Velur, which has got in the center of this little town a world-renowned eye surgery hospital. Right beside it is a world-renowned prison. And my dad was on one side of the village, and my mom was on the other side of the village. So that's the story. So really interesting. Okay, I want to get back to the whole Tamil part in a second.
That's awesome.
Okay, so okay. It's awesome. I'm learning so much, things I wouldn't have learned about.
Yeah, my dad's from Ananagar in Chennai. So I grew up going to Aravind Eye Hospital, that world-renowned eye hospital.
Okay.
I still go there. Yeah.
Can you speak Tamil?
You know what? I understand more than I speak. But because my parents are like from slightly different parts, like my mom's Telugu and he's Tamil, they sort of spoke English as their main language. So I'm sad that I can't speak more, but I do understand. It's like the language that's like always going to be in your bones.
Yeah. Cool. So Lena.
Hi, Satish.
What's going on, my American friend?
Well, we're chilling just like we do in San Francisco.
Man, it's I'm really excited to meet you. And you know, when Hussein first said, "Hey, you know, there's somebody interested in working with us, check out our vocals," and I went and checked out the YouTube page. I was like, "Wow, that's some really good hits." You know, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, and there's only 4 videos there. I checked them all out, and I was like, "Who is this person?" Um, and the loose definition I got is you do a bunch of stuff in music, from being a promoter, performer, working with artists, making music. So, give me an overview of your musical interest.
Well, honestly, I'm just like Anjali said. It's not something that I thought that um, I could connect with her when she said like this is not something that I thought I was meant to do. And even now when I was talking to A Slam, he's like, "Well, what's your goal?" I'm like, "I don't know what my goal is." I think for me, it's a passion. You do it because you love it. You do it because you enjoy it. Ultimately, we all want to do well, and we all want to succeed, and we all want to put out music out there that you will enjoy, but then obviously also people will enjoy. But I'm just having fun with it. It hasn't been that long. It's just your day-to-day life kind of takes over, and the stuff that you truly enjoy doing kind of gets sort of pushed under the rug. And it's just like, it's never a good time to get married. It's never a good time to have kids. It's never a good time to start singing, right? We're meant to be engineers, and we're meant to be CPAs, and we're meant to be doctors and artists. Like, what? Who said that? Like, who wants to be an artist? Yeah, and so you just kind of put that aside, and until you get to a point where okay, yeah, I'm settled in the things that I wanted to do, and now it's time to do me. And for me, obviously, it's for a lot of us, it may be a little, you'd say, well, it's kind of too late to start this, but you know what? It's never too late, and better now than never, because at least, years from now, when I look back at this, if nothing else, Satish, I can look back and say, you know what? I had a goddamn amazing time doing this. And oh my God, do you remember the year that we performed at desiFEST? Or, oh my God, I remember the time when I used to fly from San Francisco to Vancouver just to record my vocals and just fool around in the studio. And you know what? It's great memories. It's amazing time. And we're doing what we enjoy doing, and we're doing what we love doing. What could be better?
So this is a question for all three of you, but we'll start with Lena and then go to Anjali and end up at A-Slam. Can you guys share a moment where you were like, this is when I'm going to move from, instead of being a passive watcher, I'm going to take a step forward and participate somehow?
So, Satish, this is Lena. So, for me, honestly, I've over the years just promoting shows and doing events in the Bay Area. I've just met so many people. It started as something that I did in college, just sort of to have extra funds, and it just evolved and got bigger and bigger. And I always said, well, I'm going to stop when it sort of dies down, and it just never did. And so over the years, I've met some amazing people, some amazing artists, people that have truly inspired me when I've watched them on stage. And it's really funny because you have Josh performing at desiFEST this year, and they're one of my favorite performers out of all the years that I've been doing events, because they were so amazing on stage live. Like honestly, it was truly ecstatic just watching them do what they do. And so yeah, I've watched all these people, and it's sort of you're living your dream by kind of watching them live theirs. Mm-hmm. And about a couple of years ago, I actually came to Vancouver with friends for my birthday, and a bunch of us friends got together, and then in Karma, who's actually a band that was at desiFEST last year, I've known them for probably 10, 15 years now. And we were all sort of sitting around and talking music, and And out of nowhere, everyone just sort of kind of started singing, and then it came to me, and I started singing, and Nick goes, "Wait, hold on, do that again." So I sang again, and he goes, "I need to get you into the studio." And
nice.
literally a year went by before I actually agreed to do it, because I'm like, yeah, sure, yeah, you're excited at that point. And then guess what? You go back to your real life, and the day-to-day grind kicks in, and what's important to you once again gets swept under the rug until I finally came out here. And honestly, it's been such an amazing journey. Like, it's been fun, it's been exciting, and just getting all the love from people just in the Bay that know me, and it's just been fabulous. I have no complaints. I'm so glad I did it, because the one thing that I always tell people that sucks is when you say, what if? And at least with this now, at no point in my life I'm going to say, what if I had done this? Because I did do it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. What if? And yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I'm going to write that down. As Anjali, tell us.
Satish, there's no exact moment, I guess, when I had this realization that I really need to step forward. But I feel like it's almost a period in your life. Like you have to wrestle with that yourself. You have to wrestle with all the resistance that comes up, like all the logic that comes up in your head and says, no, that's really stupid. You're wasting your time. Your career should be flying. You should be doing X, Y, Z. And you have to just, you really have to follow. It sounds so cliche, but you have to follow that little resisting voice within yourself that says, no, I know this to be true. And I feel like that only really started to happen for me this year. And it wasn't a single moment. It was an amalgamation of all these different sources of inspiration. I guess because my intuition knew that something needed to change, I started reading all these stories of other people who'd done the same. I started having coffees with friends who I knew had made that leap from, say, traditional employment into self-employment. I started asking people to go for coffee, and we'd hang out and I'd hear their stories. I started just reading stories of really courageous women like Toni Morrison and Angela Davis, and women who are just rebels and who just took that step out. And it just slowly started working on me. And you just have to take the initiative to inspire yourself, to surround yourself with the stories of people who've done that.
So it sounds like, at some point, and Hussein alluded to a little earlier about having a business plan, but I look at it very much like a motivational plan. How do you continue to support and build and resist your own sort of labels to a point where you built such a wicked little momentum that it just carried you to that next level.
Exactly. It's like with setting any goal. If you're going to set a goal to get fit or something, you're going to start with some inspiration, and then you need to continue to inspire yourself. Otherwise you get stuck and uninspired at some point along the way. I do think it's, I see when I look around me, I think it's a very gendered thing too. I think women are told quite often we're conditioned a lot more in self-doubt. So every day when I wake up, I have to talk myself through this, you're not an artist. Yes, I am. You're not an artist. Yep. Yes, I am. And then every day I win that battle and I go make some music. And then every day I have to do it again. And I think that's true for a lot of, not only female artists, but any woman doing anything.
Well, I want you to stay there for a little bit as we go to Hussein and come back, because I'm really interested in self-programming. And what I mean by that is, I spent a good portion of my 20s re-architecting my own labels. And I'd love to dig a little deeper into how you did that and what some of those maybe rituals were. So stay right there, because that's a very important thing for me. Hussein.
Yo.
So I know your mom said don't be a DJ, but you did it anyways.
My mom's cool.
Tell me how. I know you've been doing music for a really long time, but can you remember a time where you weren't doing music, or a time when you thought, hey, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, what's so funny, and I still remember this moment? The moment that I decided to stay in music. I was in like grade 4-ish, like somewhere in elementary school, 4 to 7 in there. And I used to play alto saxophone.
You
Yeah,
did?
I been like grade
Wow, I
6
didn't
or
know
something.
that.
Yeah, that was my first instrument was clarinet, and then my second instrument was alto sax, and that was like my favorite one. And we had this show. I still remember this piece of music. It was called "Rock to the Max, Mr. Sax." Amazing, like elementary school. Like this is when I used to read music, and they got all the elementary schools together, and all the saxophone people. So there's like 50 of us were all one saxophone section, and like all the parents and like other people that are like watching in the auditorium, and this song came on. I don't know if we all stood, but it was our song. It was like the saxophone track, and I still remember getting home that day and like, holy crap, like what was that? Like it was just like the music and like chords and like playing in unison with all these other people and like people watching. I'm like, what is it? It was like that, like this crazy adrenaline rush that that creates passion. It's probably what like athletes feel the first time they win a game. Do you know what I mean? Or like,
yeah.
It's that same. So I remember that moment. I was like, man, this is crazy. I'm gonna do this, and so then I always had a foot in music always through like elementary school, and then in high school I played in band, and then I used to have like my own band that we'd like play after school and stuff. So I always wanted to be in music, and then after like we kind of talked about like after like hustling in my 20s and learning production and stuff and not being able to crack huge, I had walked away, and then I just DJ on the side, and then now I'm a little bit older. I turned 30, and I'm like, man, if I don't go back, if I don't go back and really try to make this happen. So it's kind of like I went in waves. I loved music when I was a kid. I finished my schooling. I dove into music at 20. I couldn't crack as big as I wanted. I couldn't figure it out. And then, the doubt kind of sets in. You're like, man, I really need to graduate. I should really get a real job. Maybe this dream is not going to happen. Like, maybe it'll just be something fun on the side. And so then, after you do a real job, you're like, well, I don't even care if it does work, because that is death. I'm not going back to that, I'd rather fail. I'd rather fail as a musician than succeed as something that wasn't my job. Do you know what I mean? That wasn't my calling. So, like Lena said, man, I would just have a regret if I never jumped back in. So now, like second wave, refocus, jumping back in, and so that's what I'm now. But for your question, that moment really was when I was in elementary school playing saxophone.
So let's stay in that other comment for a second, because I hear that all the time with artists, right? That I tried really hard, didn't work out, so now I'm going to get a job. I hate it, but I want to stay in it. But a lot of people can't get past that without a strong enough foundation, whether it's family, friends, something that works the opposite to go, you're right, you shouldn't be at this job. You can stay in my house, or you don't have to pay rent, or mom will feed me for another year because I do me. Like, what was your foundation that allowed you to go, hey, I'm gonna give this thing another kick in the can because this 9 to 5 is not working?
Yeah, I thank God that my mom, she's not like so supportive like how people can like support you financially and this and that, but thank God she wasn't someone negative like that's like, no, you gotta get a real. She always, if I was gonna work in a job, okay, you're saying that's what you're gonna do. Okay, you're gonna do music. Okay, that's fine. It was just like kind of like a laissez-faire kind of attitude, and that actually is even better than someone telling you what to do. Do you know what I mean? Just letting you figure it out on your own. So that I'm super thankful for. And the second thing is finances really strain someone. Like if you have a mortgage and you have kids, it's like, man, can I quit my job right now and go try to be an artist? Like, is that even responsible? So I really am thankful that I wasn't in either of those two positions, that I had enough money saved that I could take a year off and just dive into music, that I had a mom that was, super supportive. That was just like, man, if you're going to make it happen, make it happen. So those two things, I think really hinder people. If their family or friend circle is going, no, don't do it. Or if they're super constrained by their financial situation, it can really hinder them, like following, not even just going into music. It could be going into art. It could be going into photography. It could be going into, like sports. You know what I mean? I think those two things, they really have to be in check for you to kind of dive. Do you know what I mean?
So let's segue that into Lena. So doing music and producing shows, working with artists, all of that takes time and money and effort. And how do you balance that in terms of life? And talk to me a little bit about the kind of support network that you built to sort of enable that.
Well, Satish, I think be it family or friends, and regardless of what we're doing, you could be an artist, you could be anything really, and you need that support system. You need people that you can rely on. You need people that you can call on, and I think I speak for all of us that are here right now, that we all have that, be it with our moms or our dads or the siblings or friends. And I think for me, it's my mother, my friends, it's people that I've known for all these years. And I think growing up, I was raised by a single mother, and I've watched her all my life just hustle. And I think I get my grind and my hustle just from watching her hustling all her life to provide for me and to give me what I need. And that, as a woman, just makes me strong, where I don't feel like there are any barriers that will hold me back. I don't think that, not one day goes by where I say, well, because I'm a woman, I can't do this. There's no reason for me to think that way. My mother was a woman, raised me on her own, just did everything that most people within the community would never even dream or think of doing, back in the days, like, 20, 30 years ago. And so I think that's my inspiration. And regardless of how difficult life gets, and it's wonderful that some of us can say, okay, well, I'm going to stop because I have that support system to do this. Some of us don't have that. We don't have the luxury to do that, not because we don't have the support system, but because we've lived different lives, and we are in a different situation than other people. But that doesn't mean that should stop you. There is, I truly believe that when you have a passion for something, you will find a way to do it regardless of how difficult life is, regardless how chaotic life is. I don't care how great everyone makes things seem like. We all have issues. We all have problems. The difference is, how strong are we to withstand, the problems that we're facing? And I think it was just the way that I was raised, where I just don't crumble when push comes to shove.
That's incredible strength, man. And it's funny when you were talking about your mom and the strength you saw. So much of what I heard from my parents was who I shouldn't be, but what I saw was an incredible strength. But I learned so much from just watching, the hustle and the attitude and the reprogramming. So we just heard from Lena, Anjali, and my boy A-Slam. All three of them are going to be at desiFEST on June 3rd, completely humbled by the entire competition. And like I said in the beginning, very few moments are spent with each other, and most of our dealings have been online and on stage. And so this is a brand new thing for us to get to actually talk with some of these wonderful artists that have signed up to be on stage with us. And all three of them gave some very exciting points, from passion to self-motivation to becoming amazing role models as we look to what the culture is going to be looking like in the next 10 years. Certainly, I want my daughter to meet all three of them, and hope my son learns for all three of you guys. Thank you for being part of our first segment of artist profiling. This is SATS-B. See you guys on June 3rd, and more details on all three artists below. Check that out. feel free to get in touch with them and ask and share and learn and build together. Thank you.